You know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
On July 13, 2024, Donald Trump, the former president of the United States and the Republican Party's presumptive nominee for the 2024 presidential election, was shot and wounded at a campaign rally near Butler, Pennsylvania. While addressing the audience, Trump was shot by Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 20-year-old from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. This act of political violence was far from random and deeply tragic, leaving the world wondering how we got to this point. Could this tragedy have been avoided? The election of Donald J. Trump as the 45th President of the United States in 2016 was a seismic event in American politics. It defied many predictions and disrupted conventional political norms. Trump's victory over Hillary Clinton, the Democratic nominee, was unexpected and has since been the subject of extensive analysis and debate. The win was marked by a series of factors, including Trump's campaign strategy, voter sentiment, and the time's broader political and social context. Trump's campaign was unconventional from the start. As a businessman and reality TV star with no prior political experience, Trump positioned himself as an outsider who could disrupt the status quo. His campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," resonated with many voters who felt left behind by economic and social changes. Trump's message focused on issues such as immigration, trade, and national security. He promised to build a wall along the US-Mexico border to prevent illegal immigration, renegotiate trade deals that he argued were unfavorable to American workers, and prioritize America first in foreign policy. His blunt and often inflammatory rhetoric appealed to voters who were frustrated with what they saw as political correctness and the inefficacy of traditional politicians. The campaign also leveraged social media in unprecedented ways. Trump's use of various platforms allowed him to communicate directly with millions of supporters, bypassing traditional media filters. This direct line to voters helped him maintain a solid and vocal support base. The 2016 election occurred in a context of significant political and social discontent. Many Americans were unhappy with the country's direction and disillusioned with the political establishment. Economic recovery from the Great Recession was uneven, and many working-class voters felt that globalization and technological change had left them behind. Hillary Clinton, the Democratic nominee, was seen by many as a representative of the political establishment. Her long career in politics, including her time as First Lady, Senator, and Secretary of State, made her a familiar figure, but also one that was associated with the status quo. Clinton's campaign focused on continuing the policies of the Obama administration and presented a vision of progress and inclusivity. However, Clinton faced significant challenges, including controversy over using a private email server during her time as Secretary of State. This issue was amplified by the FBI's investigation, and then-Director James Comey's decision to publicly announce the reopening of the investigation just days before the election. Additionally, Clinton struggled to connect with crucial voter demographics, particularly in the Rust Belt states that ultimately swung the election to Trump. His ability to tap into voter sentiment on critical issues drove Trump's victory. His message resonated strongly in rural and working-class communities, particularly in states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. These states, which had previously supported Democratic candidates, were crucial to Trump's Electoral College victory. Voters in these areas were attracted to Trump's promises to bring back manufacturing jobs, renegotiate trade deals, and take a hard line on immigration. His rhetoric about the need to protect American workers and industries struck a chord with those who felt neglected by the political establishment. Additionally, Trump's emphasis on law and order appealed to voters who were concerned about crime and security. His tough stance on terrorism and promises to strengthen the military played well with his base. The 2016 election was also notable for the role of media and misinformation. Traditional media outlets struggled to adapt to the rapidly changing media landscape. Trump's ability to dominate news cycles with provocative statements and actions gave him a significant advantage in visibility. Social media platforms like Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter, became major battlegrounds for political discourse. The spread of misinformation and fake news on these platforms became a significant issue, with many false stories circulating widely among voters. The extent to which these factors influenced the election outcome is still debated, but they undoubtedly contributed to the highly charged and polarized atmosphere. While Trump won the Electoral College with 304 votes to Clinton's 227, Clinton won the popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. This disparity led to renewed debates about the Electoral College system's fairness and efficacy. Critics argued that it allowed a candidate to win the presidency without securing a majority of the popular vote. Meanwhile, supporters contended that it ensured a more balanced representation of states across the country. Given the various controversies surrounding Donald J. Trump, both true and false, he has become an exceptionally polarizing figure in American politics and society. His polarizing nature stems from various factors, including his unconventional approach to politics, controversial policies, communication style, and deep social and political divisions in the United States. Understanding why Trump is so polarizing requires examining these elements in detail. One of the primary reasons Trump is polarizing is his departure from traditional political norms. Trump's campaign style was markedly different from that of his predecessors. He employed aggressive rhetoric, direct attacks on opponents, and a combative style that resonated with some voters but alienated others. His use of social media as a primary communication tool was unprecedented. While his supporters appreciated his directness and perceived authenticity, his detractors saw it as unpresidential and reckless. Trump's communication style is another major factor in his polarizing nature. His often bold, confrontational, and sometimes inflammatory rhetoric has been both a strength and a liability. His supporters admire his willingness to speak his mind and challenge political correctness, while his critics view his language as divisive, disrespectful, and harmful. Trump's relationship with the media has been contentious. He frequently labeled mainstream media outlets as fake news and enemies of the people, undermining public trust in the press. This adversarial stance endeared him to supporters who felt the media was biased against him. Still, it also led to accusations that he was eroding democratic norms and undermining the free press. The polarization surrounding Trump also reflects broader social and political divisions in the United States. His presidency amplified existing fractures related to race, class, gender, and ideology. Trump's rhetoric and policies often aligned with the grievances of white working-class Americans who felt left behind by globalization and economic change. His critics argue that he exploited racial and ethnic tensions for political gain, deepening divisions and stoking social unrest. The political landscape during Trump's tenure was marked by heightened partisanship. The Republican and Democratic parties became more ideologically rigid, and compromise became increasingly rare. Trump's presidency was both a product and a catalyst of this polarization. An equally vigorous opposition matched his ability to energize and mobilize his base, resulting in a deeply divided electorate. The 2020 U.S. presidential election, which resulted in Donald J. Trump's loss to Joseph R. Biden Jr., was one of the most contentious and closely scrutinized elections in American history. Trump's defeat marked a significant moment in U.S. politics, ending a presidency characterized by polarizing policies, rhetoric, and an unconventional approach to governance. The election's aftermath was fraught with allegations of fraud, legal battles, and unprecedented events, culminating in the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. The 2020 election took place against the backdrop of a global pandemic, economic uncertainty, and widespread social unrest. The COVID-19 pandemic significantly impacted how the election was conducted, with a substantial increase in mail-in voting to accommodate social distancing measures. This shift led to an extended vote-counting period, particularly in key battleground states. Joe Biden, the Democratic candidate, won the election with 306 electoral votes to Trump's 232. Biden also secured the popular vote, receiving over 81 million votes compared to Trump's 74 million. Key swing states such as Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, which had narrowly supported Trump in 2016, flipped in favor of Biden. Following the election, Trump and many of his supporters alleged widespread voter fraud and irregularities. These claims were centered on the increased use of mail-in ballots, which Trump had repeatedly criticized in the months leading up to the election. Despite these allegations, no substantial evidence of widespread fraud was found. Due to a lack of evidence, numerous lawsuits filed by Trump's legal team were dismissed in court. The Department of Justice, under then-Attorney General William Barr, investigated claims of voter fraud and found no evidence that would change the outcome of the election. Additionally, election officials from both parties and across the country affirmed the integrity of the election process, stating that it was one of the most secure in American history. The certification of the Electoral College results on January 6, 2021, was a procedural step in affirming Biden's victory. However, this day became infamous due to a pro-Trump mob storming the U.S. Capitol. The insurrection resulted in deaths, injuries, and widespread condemnation. The attack disrupted the certification process, but Congress reconvened later that evening and ultimately confirmed Biden's victory. Thousands of Trump supporters gathered near the White House for the rally that morning. During his speech, Trump reiterated his unproven claims of election fraud and encouraged his supporters to fight like hell and march to the Capitol to stop the steal. Other speakers at the rally echoed these sentiments, further inflaming the crowd. As the rally concluded, many attendees marched to the Capitol where Congress was in session to certify the electoral votes. What began as a protest quickly escalated into a violent mob. Barriers were breached, and rioters clashed with law enforcement officers, eventually forcing their way into the Capitol building. The breach of the Capitol was a shocking and chaotic event. Rioters broke windows, forced open doors, and roamed through the halls of Congress, vandalizing offices and chambers. Members of Congress, staff, and journalists were evacuated or moved to shelter in place as the mob ransacked the building. The insurrection resulted in the deaths of 5 individuals, including a Capitol police officer, and numerous injuries. Images of rioters occupying the Senate chamber, sitting at lawmakers' desks, and parading through the Capitol with Confederate flags and other symbols of extremism were broadcast around the world, underscoring the severity of the situation. The insurrectionists' actions were widely condemned by political leaders from both parties. In the immediate aftermath of the riot, there was a swift response from law enforcement and political leaders. The National Guard was mobilized to secure the Capitol, and a curfew was imposed in Washington, D.C. Social media platforms suspended Trump's accounts, citing the risk of further violence and incitement. On January 13, 2021, the House of Representatives impeached Donald Trump for the second time, charging him with incitement of insurrection. This impeachment was historic, making Trump the only president in U.S. history to be impeached twice. Although the Senate later acquitted him, the trial highlighted the deep divisions within Congress and the nation. The January 6 Capitol riot had profound implications for American democracy and the rule of law. It exposed the fragility of democratic institutions and the potential for political violence to undermine the electoral process. The event also sparked a national conversation about misinformation's role and political leaders' responsibility in shaping public discourse. The riot prompted widespread calls for accountability and reform. Law enforcement agencies launched investigations to identify and prosecute those involved in the attack. Over 700 individuals have been charged with crimes related to the insurrection, ranging from trespassing to assaulting law enforcement officers. These ongoing prosecutions represent one of U.S. history's most significant criminal investigations. Politically, the Capitol riot deepened the existing divisions within the United States. It exacerbated partisan tensions and highlighted the challenges of addressing the spread of misinformation and extremist ideologies. The Republican Party faced internal conflicts over how to respond to the events of January 6th and the broader legacy of Trump's presidency. Socially, the riot underscored the urgent need for a national reckoning with issues such as political polarization, racial inequality, and the erosion of trust in democratic institutions. The Capitol riot and Trump's subsequent impeachment deepened existing fissures within the Republican Party. Some party members, including Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, publicly criticized Trump for his role in inciting the violence. Others, such as Representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, became vocal opponents of Trump's continued influence in the party, leading to their marginalization within the GOP. However, much of the Republican base remained loyal to Trump, viewing him as a champion of their values and a bulwark against the political establishment. This loyalty was evident in Trump's ability to maintain influence over the party's direction and candidate endorsements, even after leaving office. The split within the GOP highlighted the ongoing struggle between traditional conservatives and the pro-Trump faction, a dynamic that has continued to shape the party's identity and strategy. Socially, the riot exposed deep-seated issues of political polarization, misinformation, and the role of social media in shaping public opinion. The spread of false claims about the 2020 election, amplified by social media platforms and certain media outlets, played a crucial role in mobilizing the rioters. In response, major social media companies including Twitter and Facebook took unprecedented steps to curb misinformation and suspend accounts that incited violence, including Trump's. The Capitol riot also sparked a broader conversation about the health and future of American democracy. The attack on the Capitol was widely seen as an assault on democratic norms and institutions, leading to calls for reforms to strengthen the electoral system's resilience. Efforts to address issues such as election security, voting rights, and the spread of misinformation have become central to the national discourse. President Joe Biden, who took office on January 20, 2021, emphasized the need for unity and the restoration of democratic norms in his inaugural address. His administration has since focused on addressing the root causes of political division and promoting policies to foster national reconciliation. However, the deep polarization within the country has made these efforts challenging, with significant resistance from both political opponents and a skeptical public. Despite the significant backlash following the Capitol riot, Trump has remained a formidable figure in American politics. His supporters view him as a strong leader who represents their interests and values. Trump's influence was evident in the 2022 midterm elections, where many candidates he endorsed performed well in Republican primaries, though the general election results were more mixed. The Republican Party's future is also closely tied to Trump's political trajectory. The party faces a critical decision: whether to continue embracing Trump's brand of populism and confrontational politics, or to seek a return to traditional conservative principles. This choice will significantly impact the GOP's ability to attract a broad coalition of voters and compete in future elections. As the 2024 presidential election approaches, Trump has announced his intention to run for a second term. This decision comes amid considerable controversy and legal challenges. This development has set the stage for a highly unusual and contentious election campaign, marked by the intersection of political ambition, legal battles, and the profoundly polarized state of American politics. Donald Trump officially announced his candidacy for the 2024 presidential election with a campaign launch emphasizing his commitment to make America great again once more. His message resonates with a significant portion of the Republican base, which remains loyal to him despite the controversies and legal challenges he faces. Trump's platform for 2024 builds on his previous policies, focusing on issues like immigration, trade, national security, and economic growth. He promises to address what he describes as the failures of the Biden administration, presenting himself as the solution to America's current problems. Trump's announcement to run for president comes against the backdrop of his indictment on 35 felony counts. These charges span a range of alleged crimes, including tax fraud, obstruction of justice, and violations of campaign finance laws. The indictment stems from investigations into Trump's business practices, his conduct during his presidency, and his actions related to the 2020 election. Several felony counts pertain to alleged financial misconduct within the Trump organization. Prosecutors allege that Trump and his associates engaged in schemes to evade taxes, misrepresent financial information, and commit insurance fraud. These charges are based on extensive documentation and testimony from former employees and associates. Other counts involve obstruction of justice related to the investigations into Russian interference in the 2016 election, and potential obstruction during the subsequent special counsel investigation. These charges allege that Trump attempted to interfere with or impede the investigation through various means, including dismissing key officials and efforts to influence witnesses. Trump also faces charges related to violations of campaign finance laws. These charges stem from allegations that Trump directed hush money payments to silence allegations of extramarital affairs during the 2016 campaign, and that these payments were improperly recorded and reported. It's crucial to understand the implications for his 2024 campaign. These legal challenges have profound implications for his campaign. On one hand, his legal troubles could energize his base, who may view the charges as politically motivated attacks to prevent him from reclaiming the presidency. On the other hand, the ongoing legal proceedings could hinder his campaign by diverting his attention and resources and damaging his public image among undecided voters and moderates. Trump's core supporters have shown a remarkable level of loyalty. They often view legal and political attacks on him as part of a broader effort by the establishment to undermine their movement. This perception could lead to increased voter turnout among his base, who see his legal battles as an extension of their fight against perceived injustices. While Trump's base remains steadfast, the broader electorate may be swayed by the seriousness of the charges. Independent and moderate voters, who often play a decisive role in general elections, may view the felony counts as disqualifying or indicative of a pattern of unethical behavior. This could significantly impact the upcoming election. It's crucial to understand the broader implications for the Republican Party. Trump's candidacy in 2024 presents a significant dilemma for the Republican Party. On one hand, he remains an incredibly influential figure with a substantial following. On the other hand, his legal issues and polarizing presence could complicate the party's efforts to appeal to a broader electorate. It's crucial to understand the backdrop of a deeply polarized American political landscape. Trump's candidacy and ongoing legal issues highlight this division, likely exacerbating existing tensions and fueling intense political debates. The outcome of his legal proceedings and the 2024 election will have lasting implications for the country's political landscape, governance, and public trust in democratic institutions. These issues have created a societal potboiler which unfortunately boiled over on July 13, 2024, when Thomas Matthew Crooks decided it was time for him to take matters into his own hands, resulting in a series of truly tragic events. Crooks fired 8 rounds from an AR-15 style rifle from the roof of a nearby building, killing 50-year-old Corey Comparatori in the audience and critically injuring 2 other attendees. A member of the United States Secret Service counter-sniper team then killed Crooks. After being shot, Trump took cover and was quickly surrounded by Secret Service agents. Blood was visible on his right ear and cheek as they helped him to his feet. He raised his fist and shouted or mouthed the words, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" before being escorted to his motorcade and taken to a hospital, where he was released a few hours later in stable condition. Attendees at Trump's rallies were screened for prohibited items, including weapons. The Secret Service also routinely screened and monitored nearby buildings and businesses, including those outside security perimeters. 4 separate counter-sniper teams were assigned to the event, 2 from the Secret Service and 2 from local law enforcement. The Pennsylvania State Police, responsible for Connoquenessing Township, were involved in security matters, while Butler Township Police handled traffic duties. The FBI had no information about any specific threats before the event. Trump arrived on stage around 6:03 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Just a few minutes into his speech, at approximately 6:11 p.m., Thomas Matthew Crooks fired 8 shots into the rally venue using an AR-15 style rifle chambered in 5.56 by 45mm NATO. The 5.56 by 45mm NATO round is an intermediate cartridge primarily used by firearms designed for NATO militaries. It was first deployed during the Vietnam War as the standard ammunition for the U.S. military. Initially, American soldiers in the Vietnam War used the M14 rifle, which fired the 7.62mm NATO round. Many soldiers found the 7.62mm round too heavy, and the M14's recoil was too strong for accurate full automatic fire. The U.S. military developed a new rifle to fire lighter bullets with less recoil to address these issues. This led to the creation of the M16A1, the first standard-issue rifle to use the 5.56mm NATO bullet. Despite initial design flaws in the M16A1 that caused jamming, the 5.56 bullet performed well in combat. Its effectiveness prompted the Soviet Union to develop its intermediate cartridge, the 5.45 by 39mm, to compete with NATO. The 5.56 caliber firearms include the M16, the M4 carbine, the AR-15, the FAMAs, the G36, the SCAR-L, and the M249 light machine gun. On the day of the assassination attempt, Crooks purchased a 5-foot ladder and 50 rounds of ammunition before driving his Hyundai Sonata, which contained bomb-making materials, to the rally site. Crooks had not undergone security screening as he was outside the rally's security perimeter. He climbed onto the roof of a building about 400 feet north of the stage via an air conditioning unit. The building housed 3 police snipers assigned to cover the rally, but none were on the rooftop due to workforce shortages. According to a local NBC affiliate in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, WPXY, Crooks was photographed twice by security officers before the shooting. Before 5:45 p.m., a police officer saw Crooks on the ground and reported him as suspicious, providing a photograph. An officer searched for Crooks but did not find him. At 5:45 p.m., a Beaver County Emergency Services Unit tactical team member saw Crooks on a roof, notified other security services, and photographed him. Forbes reported that in one instance, a police officer who photographed Crooks saw him scoping out the roof and carrying a rangefinder. Reports indicated several bystanders also saw a man carrying a rifle on the rooftop and alerted the police nearly a minute and a half before shots were fired at Trump. A Butler Township police officer attempted to climb to the roof in search of Crooks, assisted by another officer. Crooks spotted the officer clinging to the edge of the roof and aimed his rifle at him, causing the officer to fall 8 feet to the ground, severely injuring his ankle. Crooks began firing immediately after this confrontation. He hit Trump and 3 rallygoers before being neutralized seconds later by a sniper from the United States Secret Service counter-sniper team. The shooter was identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, approximately an hour's drive from the rally venue. Crooks was believed to have acted alone. Thomas Matthew Crooks was born on September 20, 2003 and grew up in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. A local politician described his neighborhood as middle class, maybe upper middle class. Both of his parents were licensed professional counselors. Accounts of Crooks' life and personality vary significantly. Crooks attended Bethel Park High School, where he was recognized as an above-average student. In 2022, he graduated with high honors and received a $500 STAR Award from the National Math and Science Initiative. Classmates and school officials characterized him as quiet, with reports indicating he was often bullied for reasons such as his reserved nature and his habit of wearing camouflage hunting outfits and surgical masks to school. Crooks was passionate about playing chess and video games and learning computer programming. In 2022, Crooks briefly appeared in a 30-second BlackRock advertisement featuring a Bethel Park High School teacher and several students in the background. Following the July 13th assassination attempt, BlackRock removed the ad from circulation out of respect for the victims. Some students and alumni of Bethel Park High School claim that Crooks tried out for the school's rifle team, but failed due to poor aim. However, the Bethel Park School District stated there is no record of him trying out for the team. Crooks earned an associate degree in engineering science from the Community College of Allegheny County 2 months before the shooting. At the time, he was employed as a dietary aide in a local nursing home, where he had passed a background check and performed his job without concern. He had been accepted into the University of Pittsburgh and Robert Morris University and planned to attend the latter. Crooks had no known criminal record or mental health problems. However, a search of his cell phone revealed that he had at some point searched for major depressive disorder. The U.S. Department of Defense confirmed that he had no history of military service. However, a former classmate mentioned that Crooks had previously shown interest in joining the military to fund his college education. Additionally, he had been a member of a local shooting club for at least a year. According to law enforcement sources, the rifle Crooks used had been legally purchased by his father. Crooks attended Bethel Park High School and graduated from Community College of Allegheny County 2 months before the shooting. He had no criminal record. On the day of the shooting, Crooks asked to borrow his father's rifle before buying ammunition from a local gun store. Trump was transported to Butler Memorial Hospital for examination immediately after the shooting. A Secret Service spokesperson confirmed that he was safe. Trump's motorcade left the hospital around 9:30 p.m. EDT and headed to Pittsburgh International Airport. Trump landed at Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey early on July 14th and spent the night at Trump National Golf Club Bedminster. He confirmed that he would be able to attend the Republican National Convention on July 15th, where he later arrived with a bandaged ear. Security at Trump Tower and the RNC was strengthened after the shooting. The Trump campaign organized a GoFundMe fundraising campaign for the rally-goers who were wounded or killed, raising over $2 million by July 14th. Following the assassination attempt on Trump, stocks linked to his media and technology interests experienced a significant surge, as did shares of other companies that could benefit from a Trump presidency, such as cryptocurrency and gun stocks. It's crucial to understand how misinformation and conspiracy theories can spread like wildfire immediately after a tragedy of this nature. MIT misinformation expert Adam Berinsky described the rapid spread of such theories online as reflecting extensive political division. The Washington Post journalist Taylor Lorenz noted, "As more Americans lose trust in mainstream institutions and turn to partisan commentators and influencers for information, experts say they are seeing a big uptick in the manufacture and spread of left-wing conspiracy theories, a sign that the communal warping of reality is no longer occurring primarily on the right." BBC News disinformation and social media correspondent Mariana Spring remarked, "The real change is how this kind of lingo is being widely used by the average social media users rather than being on the fringe." She further noted that many of the most viral false posts came from left-leaning users who regularly share their anti-Trump views. On X, formerly Twitter, NBC News reported that conspiracy theories gained popularity quickly, with the word staged becoming the second highest trending topic immediately after Trump. According to The Telegraph, the staged theory generated approximately 600 million views with the help of bot accounts. The Atlantic reported left-wing users posting conspiracy theories about a false flag operation. Right-wing conspiracy theories also proliferated on social media. Antifa became a top trending topic after posts on Twitter falsely blamed the shooting on a prominent Antifa activist, misidentifying him as Mark Violets, using a photograph of an Italian soccer vlogger. ITV News reported that many Trump supporters claimed it was a deep state plot to prevent Trump's re-election. The Institute for Strategic Dialogue Research Group described the unsupported claims of a left-sanctioned hit job as part of a massive online spread of false claims. CBS News wrote that users on X also alleged that Secret Service resources were diverted from Trump's rally, an unsubstantiated claim denied by a spokesperson and echoed by Elon Musk, as part of the baseless theory that the agency is part of a conspiracy to get rid of the former president. According to the Anti-Defamation League and the Jerusalem Post, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories were disseminated by prominent white supremacists. The New York Times reported that accusations were also directed towards the Israeli intelligence agency, Mossad, Jews, trans people, and Ukrainians. As the nation grapples with the aftermath of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, the incident stands as a stark reminder of the volatile intersection between political division and violence. The rapid spread of misinformation and conspiracy theories in its wake highlights the profound challenges facing a society increasingly fractured by distrust and partisanship. The attempt underscores the highly charged and polarized political environment in the United States. The incident has also prompted a reassessment of security protocols for candidates and highlighted the potential for political violence in the current climate. Within the Republican Party, Trump's candidacy and legal issues have created a significant dilemma. The party is divided between those loyal to Trump and those who believe it is time to move beyond his controversial legacy. The primary season may see contentious battles as potential challengers navigate this fraught landscape, trying to appeal to the broader electorate while not alienating Trump's substantial base. Looking ahead to the 2024 election, the convergence of Trump's legal challenges and the assassination attempt creates an unprecedented and volatile political climate. The outcome of his legal battles, the reactions of his supporters, and the decisions of the Republican Party will all play crucial roles in shaping the trajectory of the election. As the nation approaches this critical juncture, the broader implications for American democracy, governance, and the political landscape are profound. The 2024 election will test the resilience of democratic institutions, the rule of law, and the ability of the United States to navigate deep political and social divisions. How the country addresses these challenges will have lasting implications for its political future and preserve democratic norms in an era of intense polarization and uncertainty.